Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and this is my King County real estate market update for August 2025. What's up, King County? The big takeaway I want you to get from this month's video is that things are starting to level out in King County. Now, when we were talking about the market last month, I was talking about how the inventory is building and we're seeing a lot more houses coming on the market, and we're not seeing the same level of buyer activity. And I'll encourage you, we're still seeing the amount of inventory being higher than last year, but we're starting to see things leveling off a little bit as far as supply numbers. And usually I talk about that number last. I'm going to talk about it first because last month, at the end of the month, we had 2.9 months of supply in the market, almost a more balanced market. And at the end of the month, this month, the same number, 2.9 months of supply. And over the past few months, I've been talking about how that number's been jumping and climbing. It has not been the case this month, which is good. I think things are just, okay, we're kind of settling into at least the normal for the summer. We saw the amount of actual homes on the market decline. So we had 4,350 houses on the market across King County. At the end of last month, 4,295. Not a massive number, but a slight decrease in the amount of homes on the market. And the inventory of homes for sale, and then this is just, again, for perspective, 46.7% more houses on the market. So way more houses on the market in King County than the same time last year. And for buyers, that's a huge bonus. There are more options and houses aren't selling over asking price. In fact, 99.5% of the list price, a little bit smaller if you were to consider what the original list price was. This stat is what the current list price is. So it's probably more like 98 or something like that. I don't have that number pulled up, but the amount over asking price is right around the asking price, but it's not over, right? And the average price in King County last month, $1,269,358. That number is down from last month. So I think last month might have been our high for the year at $1,326,939. So we're down from that number. Also down year over year. So last year, 1.3% down from last year's 1,285 and some change. And so the home prices in King County, with all the ups and downs over the last year, pretty much the same if you're looking at buying a house this year. Now, there were parts of the year where it was higher. It's slowed down here over the past few months, but we're right around the same point as last year. The median sales price is down from last month as well at $999, but it is up 1% year over year. $989 was the median sales price last year, $999 this year. And days on market, we've been talking about this too, has been increasing. 22 days on market in King County, 18 days on market last month. I think the big number here, though, that we've been paying attention to are the new listings. So last month we had over 3,000 new listings in King County, 2,445 this month. It's normal to see that number decline, and we saw it last year. The number is greater than it was last year, 10% more actually, but it is down from what we were seeing last month. So we're seeing some normal patterns of the market slowing down a little bit, fewer listings coming on the market. Buyer activity has remained strong, actually higher than last year as well, 5.6% more pending sales. And the Snohomish County had the same deal here. We were talking about closed sales. Closed sales would have been pending most likely back in June, but we saw the closed sales number down 12.4% year over year and down also month over month. But again, the big picture here, considering that the supply is leveling off at the 2.9 months. And normally we start to see the peak of the supply numbers around now, maybe September, and then it starts to drop off pretty dramatically. So I painted a similar picture when I was talking to the Snohomish County folks. I think we're in a place where things could get really interesting this fall. I think we've had more hope that rates might start coming down than we have in a long time. I think we have the amount of inventory leveling off, and we're entering into the time of year where it starts to dwindle. So my thought is, and again, this is all predicated on if interest rates do actually end up dropping. But what if we find ourselves seeing the inventory dropping in the fall, and we have a resurgence of buyer activity, more buyers interested because of this hope? And what if interest rates actually do drop, causing even more hope? What's going to happen to the housing market? And we've seen in the past, again, that doesn't mean it's going to happen now. We've seen the amount of housing inventory getting eaten up pretty quickly. And then you find yourselves in a really, really low inventory environment in a really competitive housing market again. And so as things become more affordable, which is what happens when interest rates come down, then you see more people entering the market. They can pay higher prices, and they end up paying higher prices. And so this year, we've been in this inventory environment where it's been increasing, which is good for buyers. It slows the market down. Interest rates have been higher. But if affordability comes back, or let's just say things become more affordable, I think we're going to see and could find ourselves in a relatively competitive fall and or spring 2026. So some just off the cuff predictions here. Again, we don't know what's actually going to happen with the rates. We've had some hope and some even false alarms where maybe they dipped just for a short window and then we saw rates coming back up. There was never any movement, though, in a positive direction with the Fed rate. And so the Fed rate, although it's not directly correlated to the mortgage rates, there is an indirect correlation there. And that's, I think, where we're starting to have some hope that we might see that number coming down. Whereas in the past, we were seeing maybe the inflation news being positive, right? Inflation's maybe under control and interest rates responding to that on the mortgage side. But we never saw the Fed rate going backwards. We just saw maybe it was pausing, right? Which is also encouraging news. But then mortgage rates kept going up. And so we're still in this higher interest rate environment than we've been in over the past 4 or 5 years. We find ourselves, Mortgage News Daily said today, 6.57%. And we could see that number. It has been going down here over the past couple weeks. So I think, again, we'll see what happens with the rates. We'll see if the Fed does drop rates. We'll see if the job numbers continue to be abysmal. And we'll see if inflation numbers are in control, or we think they're under control. And I think those are all variables to be paying attention to. I think if I'm a buyer and interest rates are dropping, it's good for me, but it's also not good for me because that means there's going to be more buyers entering the market and a lot more competition entering the market. So lower interest rates is definitely good news for sellers because that means they're most likely going to have buyers that are excited and willing to pay more. And so I think we're in this kind of weird transition point right now in the market, and a lot could shift and change fairly rapidly if we see interest rates continue heading in the direction they have been. Thanks so much for tuning into this month's King County Real Estate Market Update. I know if you made it to the end that this video is valuable for you, so I'd love it if you could, number one, give it a thumbs up. Let's help get the word out here with a share as well if you know somebody else who could benefit from it. And of course, if there's any way that I can bring value to your real estate situation somewhere here in King County, I'd love to be a resource for you.